In excitement for the upcoming season of Fallout, we've been talking about the most influential Western films on the post-apocalypse. And today we're going to talk about John Ford's Searchers. If you don't know me, my name's Nicholas Crawford. I wrote Where We've Made It Dark, a literary zombie apocalypse, and I engage apocalypse, zombies, the Western, etc. as philosophy. But also what makes these films worth watching today, too. Searchers is probably one of the most well-known and influential revenge stories. So this touches on things like Blood Meridian and The Last of Us. What do you do with revenge? And that's where the real focus is. Searchers is a blood feud. We're dealing with atrocities on both sides. A child is abducted, and we are trying to get that child back over the course of 5 years. So that this is epic in scale. And the child becomes Comanche, so the thing you're trying to save is already gone. So what do you do with that? So we're dwelling with violence in a very interesting way. If Searchers was remade today, well, it effectively was. Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell is a modern version of the same story where we purify the racist elements by making the Native Americans into this like cavemanish, subhuman Neanderthal monstrosity. And we up the violence. We're looking at the violence that gets very brutal. But with Searchers, we're not looking at the violence directly, and especially ultra-violence like in Bone Tomahawk. We are getting right to the really terrible undoing thing, but we're focused on the character, their reaction, what they say about it. And so this is separate from the things that are inspired by Searchers, like Blood Meridian and whatnot, where we're really in the violence. What this gets us to is the character himself, John Wayne, and his need to be violent and seek revenge and the excesses that he keeps falling into as he is trying to get back his niece, rescue his niece. So in fights, he keeps shooting when people are escaping. He shoots people in the back after they've attacked him at night. He massacres buffalo to leave no food for the Comanche that he's pursuing and seeking revenge on. It's a beautiful film, beautifully shot, but the real point of watching this film is to fall in with this violence while also pushing back on it at the same time. So it's not a situation where we realize, oh, I want this terrible excess that he's doing. And we're not just like cheering him on at all of these excesses. The characters around John Wayne are telling him to stop, and we do want him to stop. But the necessity of this brutality is something we're confronting directly. We are in the gap between refusing the excess and falling into it, basically. We are in John Wayne's position, but we are also ourselves pushing back on his excess while understanding emotionally the need for these excesses. So stoicism would be a false move. We're stuck in a meat grinder, and we're dealing with this, and in each moment, each of these excesses, we have to stop and push back ourselves. There's no buffer by which we can just disavow it. So that's what we're dwelling in with this film. That's why watching Searchers is important, because it gets us to something that just falling into the violence fully and enjoying that or being undone by that is a distraction from. We're getting to this ethical need in each of these moments to both be violent and push back on the violence. So at each moment it's open, and that's really beautiful and interesting. And this excess brings us to the point of finally rescuing the niece, but the niece is no longer the niece. She is grown up Comanche and is Comanche at this point. And his version of saving her would be to end her life. What do you do with it? What do you do with the person you were trying to save when they're no longer that person you were trying to save? Is the undoing aspect we're getting to here. And John Wayne, at the final moment, he chases her down and lifts her up, and it is unclear what he's going to do. So we've been drilling down with this cyclical need of revenge and violence to get to this point where things are open with freedom and ethics. Like what do you do in that moment? And he doesn't know himself. This is a point that Slavoj Žižek has made, by the way. But we get there ourselves. We don't know what John Wayne is going to do either. It's moving and shocking. It's a very interesting point. So the difference between there being a happy ending here and a terrible one, it's a razor's edge. But for any fiction that's about the need to be violent, this is a hugely interesting work. we're dwelling with John Wayne's character and this excess in a unique way. Many times, the excesses are our own, and we're like, oh my gosh, I actually wanted that thing that's out there. I didn't realize I wanted this terrible thing to happen, but I did as a viewer, as a reader. So there's a really special openness here. Most revenge stories, I think, they have their excesses, and we either clearly are in the excess or against it. But here, we're the ones struggling with this excess ourselves, and we're the ones setting the barrier, not the film itself. Even though, you have this clear dynamic of stop doing that excessive thing, John Wayne. But each time the excess happens, we want John Wayne to be the one winning. And, he takes it too far, but that too farness is the thing that we were wanting him to get to, that point, to be able to be excessive, to build himself up on the little victories that he gets on this long journey to finding his niece and actually rescuing her. So John Wayne beats the bad guys, but then he keeps shooting them, that kind of a thing. So that moment of excess, not just being this sign for, oh, you should be wary about this guy's going too far. Like, this is our own excess here. This is the most important stuff to be dealing with in these like Western post-apocalyptic tales. So, luckily, Searchers is very much worth sitting with today. You have to get to what's really open here and not just calcify it. So that's the value of Searchers. That's the value of post-apocalypses, like Where We've Made It Dark.